Should be a simple one. 1 John 5, 1 through 4. Whoso believeth that Yeshua is the Messiah is born of God. And what does Yeshua say in John 14:12? Whoever so believeth on me, the works that I do, the same works he shall do also. So whosoever believeth that Yeshua is the Messiah is born of God. And everyone that loveth him that begat, loveth him also that is begotten of him. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. For whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world, and this is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith. Quite simple, really. To love God is to keep his commandments. Now, Exodus 23 through 6, I'm just going to go through every mention of loving God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. There's your Christmas tree. There's your Caesar Borgia depiction on a cross, on the Tammuz cross. There's your Ash Wednesday nonsense. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Jehovah, thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. If you commit idolatry, you hate God, by biblical definition, and it is also the sin that leads to death, and we are commanded not to pray for you. And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Deuteronomy 5, 7 through 10. Thou shalt have none other gods before me. That's including Jesus. Jesus Horos Christos. You've elevated the Son to the level of the Father. You have a God before the Father, and you don't even get his name right. And some of you in the Torah movement that know Yeshua, Yahushua, or Yahshua, some of you even claim that he is the Father. Thou shalt not make thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them, for I, Jehovah thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. So it's a repeat of Exodus 20. If God repeats something, it's incredibly important. Deuteronomy 7, 9 through 11. Know therefore that Jehovah thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. There's not been 1,000 generations since Deuteronomy 7. He keeps covenant and mercy with only those that keep his commandments. You will not receive any mercy from the Father. The Great Tribulation's around the corner. It's really close. Verse 10, and repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. There you go, there's your Great Tribulation. He will not be slack to him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face. Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments, and the statutes, and the judgments, which I command thee this day, to do them. Deuteronomy 10, 12 through 13. And now, Israel, what doth Jehovah thy God require of thee, but to fear Jehovah thy God? Fearing God is a means to keep his commandments, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve Jehovah thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of Jehovah and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good. Don't listen to the Torah movement. The statutes are not the 613 mitzvot, that made-up Talmudic number. Deuteronomy 11:1. All he wants is you to keep the 10 Commandments, the Rainbow Covenant, which is clean eating, and teach others to do so. And don't be presumptuous. But it's too difficult for most of you. Deuteronomy 11:1. Therefore thou shalt love Jehovah thy God, and keep his charge, and his statutes, and his judgments. His judgments is the royal law, Leviticus 19:15 through 18, James 2:8. James quotes it verbatim. And his commandments always. Deuteronomy 11, still, verses 13 through 14. And it shall come to pass, if ye shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love Jehovah your God, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in his due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather in thy corn and thy wine and thy oil, the former rain and the latter rain. But if you don't keep the 10 Commandments, you don't have the Spirit of truth, so you're not going to understand what that's talking about. John 14, the Messiah tells you that. Still in Deuteronomy 11, 22 through 23. For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments which I command you, to do them, to love Jehovah your God, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto him, then will Jehovah drive out all these nations from before you, and ye shall possess greater nations, and mightier than yourselves. And Judah, dwelling in Jerusalem, he's not going to drive those nations out from you. In fact, he's driving them towards you as your punishment, because you don't keep the 10 Commandments. You keep the Babylonian Sabbath, and you covet. You hate your brother in your heart, which is murdering. You are spiritual murderers. Deuteronomy 19, 8 through 10. And if Jehovah thy God enlarge thy coast, as he hath sworn unto thy fathers, and give thee all the land which he promised to give unto thy fathers, if thou shalt keep all these commandments to do them, which I command thee this day, to love Jehovah thy God, and to walk ever in his ways, then shalt thou add 3 cities more for thee, beside these 3, and those cities are people. That innocent blood be not shed in thy land, innocent blood, because you're fulfilling the royal law. Psalm 26, 6. Which Jehovah thy God giveth thee, for an inheritance, and so blood be upon thee. Deuteronomy 30, 15 through 16. See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil, in that I command thee this day to love Jehovah thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, and his statutes, and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. What does the Messiah say? If you choose to enter into life, keep the commandments. That's life and good, is the keeping of the commandments. And Jehovah thy God shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it. And if you don't keep the commandments, you get the curses, horrific curses. Your women ravished, your children dashed to pieces, the men sent to the war. Joshua 22, 4 through 5. And now Jehovah your God hath given rest unto your brethren, as he has promised them. Therefore now return ye, and get you unto your tents, and unto the land of your possession, which Moses the servant of Jehovah gave you on the other side of Jordan. But take diligent heed to do the commandment and the law which Moses the servant of Jehovah charged you, to love Jehovah your God, and to walk in all his ways, and to keep his commandments, and to cleave unto him, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. And those are the commandments given at Horeb, the 10 Commandments, Deuteronomy 5:22, and nothing else was added, and he added no more. It's not the sacrificial law he wants now. He prefers mercy and not sacrifice, and the knowledge of God more than burnt offerings. Yeshua redeemed us from the curse of the sacrificial law to bring us back into covenant with his Father. Nehemiah 1, 5 through 7. And said, I beseech thee, O Jehovah God of heaven, and the great and terrible God, that keepeth covenant and mercy for them that love him and observe his commandments. Let thine ear now be attentive, and thine eyes open, that thou mayest hear the prayer of thy servant. Your prayers aren't heard if you don't keep the commandments, if you turn your ear away from hearing the law, which I pray before thee now, day and night, for the children of Israel thy servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel, which we have sinned against thee. Both I and my father's house have sinned. We have dealt very corruptly against thee, and have not kept the commandments, nor the statutes, nor the judgments, which thou commandest thy servant Moses. And now, Daniel 9, 4 through 6. And I prayed unto Jehovah my God, and made my confession, and said, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him, and to them that keep his commandments. We have sinned, and have committed iniquity, and have done wickedly, and have rebelled, even by departing from thy precepts and from thy judgments. Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants the prophets, which spake in thy name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, to all the people of the land. And you have prophets in these days, men, women that have been raised up by Jehovah himself, proclaiming his name, entering into the work of the prophets, reap what they've sowed, and together, when the lamentation, mourning, and woe is over, they will rejoice. And now back to the New Testament. Yeshua said unto him, this is Matthew 22:37-40. Yeshua said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. We've just read everywhere it's saying that, and it means to keep the Holy Covenant, the 10 Commandments. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbour as thyself. You cannot love your neighbour as yourself if you do not keep the 10 Commandments, because loving your neighbour as yourself is rebuking sin. Sin is transgression of the 10 Commandments. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets, and I have no idea how Christians use that verse to argue that the 10 Commandments are done away with. All of the law and the prophets spoke of the 10 Commandments, of loving your neighbour as yourself, of loving the Lord your God as yourself. Right. And I'll finish in 2 John 1:1-6. The elder unto the elect lady and her children, whom I love in the truth, and not I only, but also all they that have known the truth, for the truth's sake, which dwelleth in us, and shall be with us for ever. Grace be with you, conviction be with you, mercy be with you. What does God say? He only shows mercy to those that keep his commandments, unto 1,000 generations. And peace? What is the peace? The peace is the holy covenant of promise. From God the Father, and from the Lord Yeshua Messiah, the Son of the Father. Oh, there goes your Trinity. In truth, in the spirit of truth, and in love. Love, agape, is the fulfilling of the royal law. It is rebuke, instead of stoning. I rejoice greatly that I found of thy children walking in truth, as we have received a commandment from the Father. And now I beseech thee, lady, not as though I wrote a new commandment unto thee, but that which we had from the beginning, that we love one another. And this is love, that we walk after his commandments. This is the commandment, that, as ye have heard from the beginning, ye should walk in it. Keep his commandments, and rebuke people for breaking his commandments. If they're truly trying, you go gently with them. If not, you rebuke the fables sharply. If you don't keep the 10 Commandments, you don't love God. You're not loved of God. You don't know God. You don't know the Messiah. You're not loved of the Messiah. You're going into great tribulation, and it's coming soon, and that's so God can refine you. God is going to show you mercy by bringing the sword upon you, by bringing the sword upon all lands, but Jerusalem and the USA first.